There is so much to look at when it comes to the new Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct, and while we've taken a deep dive into much of the revealed content, including the main menu, there's still more to see. This time, we'll be looking at all of the submenus shown during the Direct, and there's no time for the old analysis machine to cool off, so it's back to work as we search for all of the secrets and hidden details tucked away in these menus. Let's get started. We'll begin with the stages, something we've already covered quite a bit, including the fact that there are still 6 more open spots. Sakurai has stated that the listing is in chronological order, and much like the landscape showing all of the characters, positions will likely be shifted to fit in any more returning stages. If there isn't any more returning stages though, then that could mean that we're looking at 6 more brand new ones. That's all surface level though. Otherwise, the screen shows that the match has been set for 3 stock with a 2-minute and 30-second timer, showing that the type of match will be chosen first, which is indeed stated later on in the Direct. This is also our first look at the stage options, as each one could appear in its normal, battlefield, or omega forms. The chosen type is displayed at the top of the screen, but the preview window also shows what that stage will look like with that option, providing a better idea of what players are in for. And naturally, each stage grants access to My Music, where song frequency for that stage can be tweaked. It also looks like the music in My Music can be organized in some way, though the only option that's ever shown is by selection likelihood. Still, this should make it a little easier to find the song that you want. Now, we plan to look closer at all the music shown during this Direct, but this analysis is more about the menus, so we'll be focusing on the way these songs are presented, as well as the sheer number of them. For example, Splatoon has 23 songs featured in the game, with the music player noting if each song is a new remix or not. So Splat Attack and Bomb Rush Blush have been remixed, but Calamari Incantation hasn't been. And as the Direct states, the songs won't be tied to specific stages anymore, and instead will all be playable on stages from that franchise. There is one odd thing about that though, which we'll get to soon. At the very least, we can see that The Legend of Zelda has 19 songs so far, though we think there will be a few more if those dots indicate anything. Beyond My Music, the Sounds option also allows players to listen to the music by series, and in the top right there's a Z's option that probably turns on the ability to listen to songs while the Switch is in sleep mode. There's also a few other options such as adding songs to a playlist or even getting more details about a particular song, though we never see what those details exactly are. However, these screens do show that Metroid will have 25 different songs before the presentation returns to a view of all the different series available in Smash Ultimate. But oddly, there are 2 mushroom symbols for the Mario series. Perhaps one is for the main series while the other is for the spin-offs? At the very least, this view shows us that Yoshi will have 14 songs, Kirby will have 39, and Star Fox will have 17. Further down, we see that Game & Watch only has 2 songs, while Wii Fit has 10, Sonic has 20, Bayonetta features 11, and poor Final Fantasy still only has 2. Meanwhile, Street Fighter has 36, while Pac-Man has 13. A whopping 97 songs are featured in the other section though, but that leads to the problem we mentioned before. If stages across a series all have the same music, then where do the other songs end up? Are they limited to stages like Flat Zone, Duck Hunt, Wrecking Crew, and 75 Meters? That would make the most sense, but sometimes they've been intermingled with some of the other stages as well. But if we had to say definitively where they'll be, we do think they'll be with the one-off stages that aren't with a Fighters franchise. There's another oddity when it comes to this list of series. Every Fighters franchise is represented except for Ice Climbers, Duck Hunt, and Rob. Now, this would make sense since they don't have a lot of music from their games, but in other, both Duck Hunt and Ice Climbers have 2 songs visible right away, the same total amount as Final Fantasy and Game & Watch. It makes sense that Final Fantasy would get preferential treatment, but why would Game & Watch? Could this be a hint that there are still more songs to unlock and the numbers we've seen aren't final? After all, CDs had to be collected in both Brawl and Smash for 3DS and Wii U. It wouldn't be that surprising if Ultimate had players do it here as well. In fact, we totaled the time for all the music of the series we mentioned so far for a sum of 9 hours, 47 minutes, and 29 seconds. That still leaves a little over 18 hours of music from the 18 other categories, and while some could hit an hour, definitely not all of them, which means either unlockable songs, new fighters from different series, or both. Nothing concrete can be determined, but it does provide a better idea of how this much music is in the game. This section of the Direct also provided a clear look at the sounds menu, which includes the series, which we just looked at, your playlists, a sound test for the voices, and access to My Music. And within the playlist, players will be able to create them however they like, including the name. Now there is an option for a submenu, though nothing indicates what's actually in it. Our best guess is that's how songs are added or removed, or even allow players to change the song order of their list. There's more submenus than just music, of course. Under Rule Settings, which itself is naturally found in the Smash menu, players can choose whether to turn stage hazards on or off, or whether to use the Stage Morph feature. In fact, we can clearly see that the image on the right demonstrates what Stage Morph does. A different image is used for the Stage Hazard option, and despite the blurring, it appropriately enough features Wily Castle and the Yellow Devil. Returning to the Stage Morph, there are even settings for it, as players can decide to have the switch between stages happen randomly or in set intervals of their own choosing. And it's not limited to the normal stages either, as both Battlefield and Omega stages can be chosen to morph between. Smash Bros. Has always had a ton of options though, and Ultimate is no different. Beyond these two modes in the rule settings, there's a team attack toggle, a setting for the launch rate, a custom balance, and even the ability to prevent pausing during a match. And these are just the ones toward the bottom of the menu, as the slider on the right indicates. Of course, there's rule sets as well, which does appear before the stage selection. The top menu will show the rule sets you've created for quick access, or players can simply choose the same rules used in the previous match. One of these rules is choosing how stages are picked. It can allow everyone to choose, go in player order, have the loser pick, or a different set order altogether. In addition, the random option for stage selection can be customized to allow for both Battlefield and Omega versions to appear, or just have one or the other. While it's not shown, normal will likely be an option as well. There are more rule settings shown though, once again, mostly at the bottom according to the slider. These settings include the damage handicap, the stage select, which we just covered, the option to turn on the final smash meter rather than smash balls, customizing items and the frequency of their appearance, how random stages are handled, and even more advanced options beyond that. Again, Smash Bros. Has never been short on options or customization, and Ultimate is no different. But we also get a look at the new Squad Strike mode, which can either be 3-on-3 or 5-on-5, but the rules themselves can be changed to whatever the players want, as we see the option at the top. And the same applies to the Tournament mode, but a new feature is the automated tourney brackets, where players can choose whether each match is 1-on-1, 1-on-1 until the last match, or a free-for-all the entire time. In addition, there are other options that we can just make out at the bottom of the screen. These will allow you to edit the title, which might hint that tournaments will stay available online, tweak the rules, or even shuffle the matchups. Alright, we're almost done here, but there's still one more menu that we haven't mentioned, and it has nothing to do with multiplayer. Classic mode in its original form from Smash 64 has returned, and this time each character will be facing a set group of opponents rather than a randomized group. And Ultimate even emphasizes this fact. When we see Kirby's Classic mode run, it's known as the Gourmet Clash, indicating that he likely fights other fighters known for eating food or perhaps other food habits. And sure enough, we see him facing off against Yoshi. This screen also shows that there are 6 fights before a treasure chest symbol and then a boss symbol. However, there is room to expand, so harder difficulties will likely have more than 6 fights before the boss. But what might be found on the treasure space? Is it just an automated bonus, or is it related to a minigame like the home run contest, break the targets, or perhaps even the return of board the platforms? As for the boss, it'll likely follow past Smash games where on easier difficulties it's Master Hand, then Crazy Hand joins in as it gets harder, and at the maximum difficulty an entirely new boss appears to challenge the player. But who might Kirby challenge in his Gourmet Clash? There's Yoshi of course, but maybe also Link because of his new cooking skills, Mr. Game & Watch because of his cooking attack, Wario and his big chompers, Snake because of surviving in Snake Eater, DDD because he's always there to challenge Kirby for food, the Wii Fit trainer getting him into shape, and Pac-Man chowing down on pellets. And there might be even more than that because it's not always a one-on-one match. In Donkey Kong's Classic mode, we see him facing off against Inklings on Moray Tower alongside Diddy. So either Diddy is a computer-controlled ally, or this confirms that Classic Mode can be challenged in co-op. Either way, DK's Classic Mode is called Journey to New Donk City, so we know where his last stage before Master Hand will be. And like we said, he also fights on Moray Towers, so it seems that his gimmick will be city-based levels like Saffron City, Annette, Delfino Plaza, Town and City, Fourside, and the like. The final character whose classic mode we see is Roy's, which is called a Journey of Swords. It's also an example that free-for-all battles will happen in classic mode, which is fitting because Roy's gimmick seems to be about facing sword wielders, and there's no shortage of those in Smash Bros. And that's all of the submenus shown during the Smash Ultimate Direct. What's crazy is that there's obviously so much more to see. Just like everything else in this game, this is the ultimate amount of options ever put in a Smash game, and it's only going to get bigger. What modes and options are you hoping to see though? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Smash Bros. And other things gaming.